kind of a light clinking of the ice tonight. It is Thursday, July 24th at 11:43 p.m. If you're up and at 'em and you're here, I appreciate you. Hope all's well with you and yours. And Nate Dolans is here. He is here. It's late. He's cranking up. Appreciate Nate being first. So Big Ten media days have wrapped up, Purdue is wrapped up. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what I saw, what I heard, see what stuck out to me. Also, give a couple basketball thoughts. I'll do both. Hopefully, this might be a legit quick cast, because I don't think we're going to have a ton of people here just because the hour of the day. Been pretty busy. And that's why the quick cast gets slotted at the old 11:40 time slot. It's almost Friday. So before I dig in too deep, I want to thank our good friends at Home Field Apparel. Head over there, pick out a shirt or a hat, sweatshirt. They got some mystery packs, like I said. Enter boiled 25 for 15% off your first order. Homefieldapparel.com. And also, when you're on campus and you want to meet a new dad, what do? You head to AJ's, because Adam is now a dad, and I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about that, but so excited for Adam and his family. So big news there from the greatest restaurant on campus. It's a 5-minute walk from Victory, I'm told. Head towards the fire station, and then you turn left. You'll see the sign. You'll go in, and you'll meet the nicest people that you can on campus, and you're gonna have some delicious food, and very soon. Well, they have can't get a pint right now, but it's coming. It's coming. It'll all be back to normal soon, and even better. It will be back to normal and get better. They're going to be turned up, as kids say. So something to look forward to in August at AJ's. Burgers, beef, and soon beer will be back. That's AJ's. So if you've been watching Big Ten Media Days, it's going to be a review for you, and you may not even enjoy this, and I'm going to react to what I thought. If you haven't been watching them, if you haven't had time to review them, I tried to review everything I could find. Honestly, it took me hours, but decent stuff, decent information. It's much like camp in NFL football. Everybody's feeling good, and Purdue feels good. A lot of positivity around the program. Everybody's talking about how great the culture is this year. It's good to hear. Big improvement over where things may have been. Coach Odom had a lot of thoughts, and I have a lot of thoughts on Coach Odom, and I continue to be impressed with his stability, his structure, he's got a way of doing things, and I think that's going to be really, really good for this team, especially this season as you try to blend so many different moving parts together. I think it'll be a good thing. We'll see how it plays. I still don't have super high expectations in the win-loss column, but I do think this team's going to fight. I think they'll reflect their coach's attitude. So here's what I saw. Here's what I heard, the things that stood out to me from Big Ten Media Days. One of the greatest quotes that I got from Odom was, he said he's thankful that we get to take a chance. Thankful that we get a chance to play the game. And what he was referencing is the fact that so many in the media have already left Purdue for dead. 3 or 4 wins is about where things are capped out. You heard, if you listened here to the last quick cast, that even Purdue fans aren't giving you more than 6 generally. And that's pretty wide-eyed optimism, I'd say, right now. Like I said, the brain trust average was 4.26 wins, if I remember correctly back then. But not only does Coach Odom understand what the media and many fans think of this Purdue team and what's ahead of them, the team also knows. And that was obvious when you heard Maccabee, Tony Grimes, and CJ Madden talking to the Big Ten Network when they had their chance to sit in front of the big table, behind the big table, whatever you want. I'll talk about those guys here in a second. Interesting that those 3 were chosen. Their background is pretty different, and it's indicative of what this team is. I think it's a savvy move by Coach. But let me keep going. Odom, one thing he talked about is he wants to see the NCAA regulate the amount of conference games. He mentioned that specifically, and he's gotten a little bit into I don't know if it's friction. It's not a big deal, but he mentioned IU's schedule, or he didn't mention it. He referenced it. And then Signetti responded that he likes Coach Odom and said he didn't think about the comment, no big deal. But Coach Odom has talked about the schedule quite a bit. He doesn't think it's the best thing for teams to just cower away from the possibility of playing good teams. Referencing what IU did with Virginia, the big buyout there. When I say big, I mean, it's a lot of money to me. Not much money to a Big Ten team right now, but they bought out Virginia and they backfilled it with some patsies. But Coach Odom has a lot of things he thinks that the NCAA needs to do. But the big thing, he's a realist and he's kind of handling the situation and what's coming towards Purdue, coming at every college football team right now. Seems to be handling it in stride, and all the systems he has in place are a big deal right now, I think. Let's see. He said right now the program, Babinski and he have no chance or no plans on changing their schedule and softening it up or weakening it. I know a lot of Purdue fans have said it's not so dumb for IU to lighten the schedule since the Big Ten has 9 conference games. SEC only has 8. That was the reference of regulating things. But there's no plans on getting out of the home and homes. I think there's a Ole Miss, and I'm not positive. I think there's Wake Forest, but I'm not positive. But in the coming years, there's quite a few real games, if we're just being real honest, not patsy. So that's good. He also said the QB situation is not set. Whoever was asking him, I don't know if it was DiNardo or somebody else, asked if it was a 4 QB competition, meaning is everybody in play? And Odom didn't really respond to that, but he did say it is still an active competition. He also said we're going to need more than 1 QB to be effective this year. I think he wants to keep guys motivated. He knows that injuries are real, and especially if Purdue implements some run pass option, there's a chance of injury, of course. He said we're going to need multiple QBs to be ready. On the health front, very, very good report. He said almost everybody. There was only one person. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't somebody I knew the name of them. Doesn't mean they're not important, but there's only one guy that's injured heading towards camp. Really good news, and really good news for some Purdue fans, specifically the brain trust. George Burren is healthy, and he's going to be ready to play. It's good to hear. And he spoke specifically about him, said his work ethic is what really has set him apart, made his recovery so good from his surgeries. Let's see. Also, one thing I saw as a recurring theme from Coach Odom is he really tried to butter up the media. And if you watched it all, maybe you agree, maybe you see that. I thought it was pretty wild how much he was talking to the media in a extremely nice way, and he talked about them telling the story and doing the hard work. He also said something about the reason the media has Purdue low, they're basing it on the information they already know. He was very, very level-headed, but he in the different venues, they have the sidebar in the hallway, they had they get to sit at a big table with the Big Ten Network, and then they had the big room where they address all the media, and he was extremely positive. He kicked off his statements with very, very positive statements about the media and what they do. Also, one thing I thought was really interesting, I think his first 2 questions, maybe his first 3, were from Vegas-based media, just asking him questions about how he's getting settled in and things like that. And it was very interesting. I thought that was very interesting because since it's in Vegas, he kind of had a leg up. One of the Big Ten people said, Big Ten Network said, he's one of the only coaches there that didn't have to ask anybody where to go to dinner because, of course, it was time there. He talked about his family and what they thought about Vegas, and all very positive. Just very positive all day. Very, very, if not, he was measured in his speaking, which is not surprising if you've seen any of his interviews. He talked about something interesting that he didn't expound upon, and that's why he talked about 16 core pillar values. He may have used the word pillars. That's what I heard him say anyway. If he didn't, that's why I chose the thumbnail of Coach Odom in front of a bunch of pillars. I thought that was kind of neat, and it kind of was poetic to me, the fact that he's such a structured guy, and that structure really matters. He also said hope, vision, and belief are about to become reality. He sounded like a motivational speaker at times. Like I said, very positive, very measured. A lot of almost like a pastor, if you're familiar with the church, where he'd say, I've got these 3 points, and he'd go to those 3 points. And I'm sure the team, when he gets into that rhythm where he's talking about specific points, I'm sure they're very used to the organized way of speaking. Let's see. He also said details, habits, consistency all matter. They're very important. And then like kind of the final thing that I took from his big statement to the big room was process comes first, results take care of themselves. Pretty good stuff. Regarding Maccabee, Grimes, and Madden, I had a couple quick thoughts about them. Number one, Maccabee is an extremely genuine guy. Like I said, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's what's right with college football. He's an impressive guy. He mentioned his the Mockstang family, which I think is the name of the family's racing team. Talked about how much of a charge he gets out of racing and being around the process of building a car, getting it ready. He's an interesting guy, but very genuine. CJ Madden is an extremely impressive person. Looks amazing in a suit. Very articulate. I think he said he had a clothing brand that he started. He's trying to get it off the ground. He said his brand needs to get better before his clothing brand can get better. And he talked about, one thing translates to another. Cool to see people dreaming about that. And then finally, Tony Grimes, also sharp, articulate guy, but he's a new father, newish father, 18-month-old daughter. She's an absolute button. They showed videos of her playing around on the kitchen counter and giving her dad a kiss on the cheek. Tony Grimes is one of those guys. He's older, like I told you guys the other night, but yeah, he's a dad, and that really changed the way guys approach things. But 18-month-old baby. Okay, so those are my big takeaways from media days. Not a ton of stuff that was ground shaking that evolved my perception or anything like that. It's the same themes over and over. Odom he's an absolute systems guy. He is very organized. He is very structured. A team that needs it, and a program that needs it, with all these moving parts. The right guy for the job right now. That's what I would say. Okay, now into basketball. I'll talk about that real quickly. Purdue released another practice video. So this just recently, I think it was early this afternoon. That was fun to watch. Here are a couple I'm going to give these really quick pointed things, I'll say. Okay, so Smith, poised. He looks very cool, looks absolutely in command. No surprise there from anybody. TKR, focused and resolute at times. Taking all comers, anybody challenge him, it doesn't matter. On offense, he looks very, very good. Painter, pointed. Multiple times during these things that during the scrimmage, they have like timeout like situations, and he took some shots at his team saying, you guys play like that versus a good team, you're not going to score. He was talking about different things. The communication is incredible to me in the gym. If you listen to this team practice, the amount of noise, the amount of talking, it is a big deal, and that's how they stay connected. I think Painter, that he prides himself in that being part of the process, but you can really hear it in these practice videos. That's a big deal for me. Another person I saw, Harris, is trusty. Whenever Smith drove, he drives and he's always looking for guys to be in the place where they need to be. There were multiple times where he kicked it out to Harris. He was exactly where he needs to be and knocking down silky smooth jumpers. And speaking of guys knocking down silky smooth jumpers, you've of course seen the Oscar Clough video of him just hitting jumper after jumper after jumper. I showed it to my dad today, this afternoon. He stopped by and I said, you want to see something impressive? Check out this big guy. Clough has a very, very, he has a mammoth presence about him, but also he can stroke the jumper. I mean, boy, this team can shoot. Daniel Jacobson in that practice video, and I think knocked down two 3-pointers. They looked like there's threes. I didn't see his feet because there was low angle stuff, but that was interesting to me. Yeah, and so one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about too is the stuff. Omer Meyer has not yet gotten to Purdue. All you guys know this, all the stuff on Twitter. There's, he said he took less money to come to Purdue. I think that's cool. In the process, you had Boogie got involved in texting him and letting him know Purdue was placed where he needed to be. Braden Smith got involved in the process, also texted him. They say that's what cemented getting him on campus. Very, very cool stuff. The Purdue family, the Purdue culture is super strong. Of course, he played with Travion at, is it Maccabees? What is in Israel? But he's not there yet, right? In those videos, there's a hole there, right? There's still got a lot of walk-ons playing, and there'll be one less walk-on getting significant action in practice when Meyer gets there. And it kind of makes me think of a silly thing, or makes me think of comic books when you have the whole team coming together, all the superheroes coming together for one big battle. And everybody starting to focus on one thing. And when Meyer gets there, that final piece will be there. That'll be fun to see. And we get to make even more ridiculous judgments about things that we really can't make judgments about yet, if we're being real honest. I've got an idea percolating in my head. Everything's been positive, and they should be positive. If you watch Field of 68, if you don't, I highly suggest watch their Purdue segment from, I think it's yesterday. It's one of the most overwhelmingly positive Purdue things I have ever seen. Those guys are pretty high on Matt Painter, I'd say. Some incredible comments on Matt Painter, and I don't disagree with anything they said. At the same time, it might be good for us to keep our wits about us. Not because I'm going to tell everybody, hey, there's no reason to be that positive. Not that. But the whole thing is, one can only take so much positivity this far out. I mean, it's July 24th, almost July 25th. In 1 minute, it'll be July 25th. And if you're like me, you're eating this stuff up, and it's understandable. So there are a couple of you here. Let's see what you guys have to say. Nate Dolan's, like I said, is first, and he is the number one crown. Again, these crowns. Thanks, YouTube, for that. Andy Baird's here says, what a pleasant surprise. I'm waiting for Happy Gilmore 2. Oh, so you're in line, I guess. Happy Gilmore 2 must come out. It's probably going to come out right now. So he's probably in the theater right now. But let us know in the comments what you think of the movie. It intrigues me, if nothing else. Jay Money said he wanted to see the new Naked Gun. I don't really want to see that. I think I'll probably wait for both to come out in some sort of streaming platform, watch them that way. But I think they both look like they could be entertaining. A lot of old ideas being retread, which is Hollywood's way, if we're being real honest, the last few years. But I hope the movie's good. Nick Dolan says, have you purchased the Black Purdue script hoodie yet from Home Field? Oh, they got a black one now. No, I have not purchased that yet. So I got to check that out. I didn't know that. So it's a black, it's probably like the oatmeal one that I have with the black script, I'm guessing. So I got to check that out. Oh yeah. Good suggestion by Nate to check out Home Field. One of the products I don't know about. Nick LaRue says, wonder if Odom actually sees something in this roster, or if it's standard coach talk. Yeah. That's the hardest thing to tell. And I don't know how much you can decipher at this point. I think he has to be positive. If he came across negative, that'd be ridiculous. But yeah, I'd say we can't make a judgment call. And if you look at the roster construction like I have, and like I'm sure Coach knows, there's some really good parts on defense. Incomplete offense right now. A lot of work left to do still. Many Purdue fans think this offensive line is going to surprise a bit. Yeah, I like the defensive backfield a whole bunch. I like a lot on the defense, a whole bunch right now, but we'll see what happens. The wide receivers and tight ends are big concern for me. I like the running backs, like the offensive line. We'll see what happens with the QB battle, but I think there's a lot of things yet to be decided. And I think the first 3 games will teach us a lot. Jarvis says, it's BD on late night, Thursday night. Yeah, good, sir. Hope all is well. Everything's good here. Thank you. Appreciate it. And yeah, this is kind of like the late show, the late show. So right on. Ron Bach says, great to see this prime time. Oh, is that PDT? Is that Pacific time? Greetings from Solana Beach, capital. Where is that? Where's Solana Beach? Where is that? I don't even know where that is, Ron. That's cool, though. So California, there we go. Spell check did it. So I'm not a moron. That's great. Solana Beach, California. Excellent. I don't know where Solana Beach is. I am familiar with parts of California. I worked in Irvine for about 2.5 years. And I've done a lot of work in Goleta, Santa Barbara area, and even a little bit up in the north, work in the Bay Area too. So I know a little bit about California, but I don't know where everything is yet. Still, I guess still is a better word than yet. Jarvizda says, after last year, we can all use divine help. I'll use all the divine help we can get. I don't know, where is that reference to? See, this is the hard team. We're jumping around. Nate Dolan says Purdue will play Ole Miss in 2033 and 34. It's a long way off, like you said, far into the future. I've heard the Grove Ole Miss tailgate experience is supposed to be the holy grail of tailgating. Yes, and Ron Gable, if you follow the comments here, he's a guy who's been to Ole Miss, I think, twice, and he says it's amazing. Ron's not... he's not a wild man or anything, but he knows a good time when he sees it. And I'm excited. I'd like to. That's one of the places I want to go. If I'm being real frank, I want to go to Ole Miss. I'd like to see a game at Ole Miss. And there's a couple off the beaten path, but Ole Miss is one I'd like to go in the next couple of years to see a game. So maybe by that, boy, oh boy, I'll be nearing retirement. So that's interesting. Marshall Briggs says, Dowd, good seeing you. Same to you, Marshall. Hope you're well. Nick LaRue says, I like seeing Paint coach the guys in practice highlights. Also fun to see how they're whipping the ball around. Yeah, ball movement is great. Obviously, we're seeing such small segments, but what we're seeing is pretty damn good. I don't think it's like they're being super controlled in that. So, Jarvizda says Happy Gilmore 2 is on Netflix on its release. Is the release on Netflix and theaters, or is it just Netflix? Probably just Netflix. I don't have Netflix, so that's a problem. But generally, when something good becomes available and I can either buy the download or rent it, whatever, I do that, rent it. So yeah, Andy Baird says Netflix. Marshall Briggs says definitely enjoying the timeline we live in as Boilers, but worried about repercussions of being crowned too early. One bad game, injury, circumstance, or bad luck could derail the season. So let me be a devil's advocate of you being peeing in our Cheerios. And I know you're not doing that. I'm just kidding. But I think this team is built in a way that, basketball generally, well, I don't know how to say that. Okay, so injuries happen. This team is nicely built. And sure, we've been through this as Purdue fans. We've been through it, but this is a complete team like we've never seen, a complete roster like we've never seen. And that's all you can do. Build it as well as you can and then get ready for the future. The thing that's really cool is the way this lines up in years to come too. One thing Purdue needs to do recruiting wise, it seems to me, if you look at, there's guards coming, right? Obviously, Luke Ertl is waiting in the wings, is going to come on. Hopefully Purdue gets a couple years out of Omer Meyer. So the backcourt, and then you got Harrison Cox. I mean, that's an incredible backcourt. So what happens next with the big men, right? Purdue still needs a power forward to come in, and I don't think that's been cemented yet. So I don't get on recruiting too much. I probably get on it even less than I used to, but there's a pretty nice design and flow the way things are coming together. Motor City Boiler says GBI has been releasing Rose Bowl player interviews. Check them out if you haven't yet. And you're an old guy like me, brings back good memories. The most recent one with A.T. Simpson was great. Yeah, A.T. Simpson is a guy that I know personally pretty well. He was good friends with my brother in high school at Cathedral, and I got to know him a little bit on different occasions. He's a really good guy. I haven't seen his interview yet. I watched a Kobe's interview. I think it was a Kobe. Very, very good. I didn't watch Vinny's interview yet, but yeah, I'd highly suggest anybody who's on the interwebs, go see those Golden Black interviews. They're really good so far. So I'm excited to see the AT one there just because of my connection to the guy. Really good guy. Good guy, nice, genuine dude. So he also helped a friend of mine whose son was playing at Noblesville. AT came and I can't remember how it worked, but I think AT came and talked to Noblesville's team as just kind of telling about what's ahead of him. Probably wasn't a whole bunch like, Matt Foley type motivational speaker stuff. I hope it wasn't. Could be funny though. But AT is a great guy. Motor City Boiler says, good point. I hope you don't get canceled like The Late Show. That's a very good point, right? But also given a lot of time, right? A full extra season, canceled, and then for some reason given an extra year. That's a pretty sweetheart deal. And he gets paid, what? Colbert gets paid, what, no, it's going to be more than that. It's going to be more than $10 million a year. And I do not get paid millions of dollars. I can assure you that. Jarvizda says, and he's now been, I think he's come into the rankings. He's number 2 king. Says, hoping for a Matt Mitrione episode of GB Rose Bowl Memories. Yes. And this is, so Matt Mitrione's another dude that I've had some personal interaction with a couple different times, but I sat right next to him during the Music City Bowl a couple years ago. And it's good to have an absolute badass in a pair of overalls right there when you have morons on the other side of the aisle from Tennessee. Mitrione is he's an enforcer and he looks the part. Brandon Gorin was there too, if I remember correctly. And Brandon and I know each other pretty well. So that team, I've got some good connections. That team had so many characters on it. Mitrione will be awesome if they are. I don't know if they're asking him or if they got him, but yeah, that'd be an incredible interview. But Vinny's probably is a ton of fun too. Marshall Briggs says, agree with your counter. Also impressed that Paint was able to keep Braden despite tampering. Yep. And keep Meyer from Auburn and Duke. Dude's a legend. I think it comes down to putting guys in a position where, number one, I don't know how you stop somebody from taking more money. I really don't. I think that's a really difficult equation. Painter has gotten people in the chute that really want to be part of this Purdue program. I think that's the thing. So it's so amazing. I mean, here's the other thing though. And somebody must be in these guys' ears wisely telling them, you're still going to get paid well. It's still going to be pretty good. You may not get however many millions of dollars. Like the stories from Smith's recruitment are just absurd. If you haven't heard any of the rumors, I'm not going to really throw any gasoline on them, but they're wild. How much money he was offered and how much he turned down. And I've addressed that before, but they're wild, the amount of money. And guess what? He still is making a absolute ton of money at Purdue. So yeah. I'm trying to find where I am. Thing jumped down me. Motor City Boiler is the number 3 king. Said maybe not millions of dollars, just maybe not millions of dollars, just millions of dollars. I'm sure. Exactly. There's lots of money in the hopper. Guys are getting paid and doing quite well. So Jarvis, that is the number 2 king, says Tim Stratton. Tim Stratton's another super fun dude. Another big personality. Who, I've seen him in interviews as an adult, and he's just like a normal dude now. And he was crazy in college. So it's kind of funny to see him just talking like a normal guy, but he's still entertaining. Motor City Boiler, he was a character at Right On. Nate Dolan said, you don't want to see any Purdue players living in a van down by a river. You really don't. Yeah. So, here's Matt. There's Matt. Yeah, good point. Ed Albanese, the gummy worm confection king of Purdue, says Vinny was a tool in college, but now he has cleaned up his act and has had some good interviews. Vinny needed an IV at times because he would work so hard during games to keep hydrated. I'm not gonna say any more about that, but yeah. Another character. Let's see. Andy Barrett says that Michigan game was unreal. We were debating leaving at the half. And there were Tiller games like that. My older brother sat in a block, and friends that are close to me know this already, but I think it's funny. It's indicative. I'm sure many of you were my older brother. My older brother sat in a group of like 12 seats, I think, at that point. I think that was the largest group we had. But my older brother, he said he would get so intense, so in his head when Purdue was at their height of the Tiller time, the Rose Bowl year and right around then. And that team, remember, it was partially because Breeze would make mistakes that were pretty major, right? He would throw big picks and it would just make you nuts, right? It's easy to look through the prism that what we know now, who Drew Brees became and all that. But as he was growing up as a quarterback, man, he threw a lot of picks and man, he took a lot of risks. And you'd say, we've got the game on ice, and then he'd throw a boneheaded pick and you'd be like, holy right? Purdue should be winning by 1,000, and because of that pick, it's going to get a little closer than it needs to, right? So, but he would leave games, and then he would come back. He would go walk around campus. He said it was fun. It would get his head clear, and then he'd hear things where, like, for instance, if Purdue got down by $1 billion on a team, which happened, and then they would storm back, which would happen, he would find his way back in after cooling his head. And I don't know if any of you are like my brother, but I was always like, just sit tight, man. We've been through this. Michigan game was one of those games, right? Where it was like, okay, they're screwed. But that was, yeah, that's a fun one. That was a great game. Great season. Ton of fun. Marshall Briggs says, can we acknowledge what Coach Odom had to say about Tyler Trent's brother getting a scholarship? Seems like a solid kid with a great attitude and work ethic. Tyler's got to be proud of his little bro. Ethan's a great dude. This is another person that I know, and I don't know everyone, but I do know these people. Ethan is a good dude, and it's very, very great to see him having a scholarship. If you don't know, he was recruited by Indiana State, and then one of the final things Jeff Brom did was invite him to come play at Purdue, and yeah, he's a super likable guy. But that core of linemen, and I've got to meet a pretty good handful of them. They're really solid guys. So different than that team we're talking about from the Rose Bowl. These guys aren't the biggest characters. Those linemen, they're just like super solid, and which I think that's a good thing. That's what you want in an offensive line. I think that offensive line group under Tiller, though, they were characters, dude. They were fun. Jarvizda says the October that saved the season and propelled it to new heights. And remember that you needed October. You needed to beat teams that were really, really good because of a couple disappointing losses. That loss to Notre Dame was a major, major disappointment, specifically. Is that Gary Gotze? Is that the Gary Gotze game? You can tell me if I'm wrong or right. Or Gary Gotze. I think that's right. I think that's it. Where Gary Gotze was playing quarterback from Notre Dame and Purdue should have won that game, and I think that's the same one, same season. Motor City Boiler says, AT talks about Michigan game with the attitude. They all came out within the second half. Great story. I look forward to it, and everybody should watch that. It'll be good. Yeah, so Jarvis reminds me, it is the Gary Gotze game. I remember watching that game. I could not freaking believe that Notre Dame's third-string quarterback / tight end was going to beat that Purdue team. Beating a Purdue team, Notre Dame beating a Purdue team, sure. Run-of-the-mill stuff. Purdue had dealt with that. But that Purdue team losing to Notre Dame that year, holy crap, was that frustrating. That was really tough. That team kind of stumbled out of the gates, if you remember. So, yeah, the Penn State loss was rough. And that Penn State team, that's the funny thing. There was it Courtney Brown and who's the other defensive end? Great pro career. Man, they hit Breeze so many times, and the other ends were awesome. So Marshall Briggs said, these games are legit, but I still say Purdue upsetting Ohio State a few years back is one of the greatest of all time games. And it is. But I take those games that got Purdue to the Rose Bowl, that propelled them to the Rose Bowl. They mean more to me because of where Purdue ended up. And I know that Ohio State game is an incredible game. The atmosphere, it's the best atmosphere I've ever been to for a Purdue football game, no doubt about that. But I put it up there. It's obviously one of the most special games ever. But getting to win a portion of the Big Ten and getting to the Rose Bowl, and it felt like it was like it needed to happen, right? It was destiny. Who knows if it'll be another, what was it, 27, 30 years between Rose Bowls, and it's probably going to be, if we're being real honest, but who knows? So, yeah. Number 11 on Penn State, Dagnabbit, yeah. And he played LeVar Arrington. Courtney Brown, LeVar Arrington. Had a great pro career. Absolute nut job on the field. So and now he has he's part on a national radio on XM, I believe. He's not bad at it. He's not great at it though either. The Tyler Trent game, that's the Ohio State game. Marshall Briggs says, ooh, you were there live, jealous. Yeah. I had season tickets that season. It was amazing. Those games were all amazing. The IU game was an amazing one. I was there at the Ohio State game too, the Trent game, but yeah. Let's see. Andy Barrett says Penn State was trash that year. We had 2 block punts, didn't we? I don't think Penn State was trash. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember them being trash because they had so many athletes all over the field on both sides of the ball. But Purdue should have beaten them. But Penn State, man, they were good against Breeze. Brown and Arrington were so good against Breeze. But yeah, these are your games. Wisconsin was amazing in 2000. There's that era of football was fun. That's the big thing. I think you take about, if you're just like any of us, the people that we actually are old enough to remember being there and watching that. And there's a lot of cynics among Purdue fans just think you can't get back there. And I talked about that last show. You can get back there. You can get back there. And I think Purdue will get back there. So, good stuff. Good conversation. And, I'm not going to go any further. Good comments, though, and good conversation, like I said. Great to talk to everybody. Thanks for coming by for the Nightcap. Glad you were here, and glad I did it. Glad I didn't wait. Tomorrow is another very busy day for B-Dowd. So hope everybody has a great early Friday morning now. We're into the early morning hours at Friday. And as a magical, wonderful, fantastic Friday. God bless you. Hammer down. Talk to you soon. We'll see you.